is Nyla, and I am 7 years old. I like my astronomy class, and I am loving it. And I've been learning my planets like the moon and Earth and the like Venus, Mercury, and I forget what other planets. Maybe that's all, but the astronomy class is awesome. I've been learning about like Egypt and that stuff. And king and queens and and pyramids and and Kemet and look at this pose. All of it. And I love it.
From around 1800 CE to 1850 CE, most European countries abolished slavery, and the slave trade started to die on the western side. However, on the east, it was picking up further. The British did try to have countries abolish it, but it didn't work. Not only did it not work, but it probably had the opposite effect. The colonization was taking place, and a lot of these countries exported slaves. Muslim Bornu, for example, entered into a trade deal with the Ottoman Empire to provide them slaves. Muslim Africa ravaged the continent and raided deep into it. The stories of these raids are disturbing, to say the least. Most Muslim rulers of the region were interested in slavery because it was profitable. There weren't many advocating for abolition, even though in Europe slavery had mostly died out. The British could not force the rulers to do away with slavery. However, by the end of the 19th century, Africa was almost entirely colonized and the slave trade was put to an end. Muslim states of Middle East were breaking into chaos. The Ottoman Empire was the sick man of Europe. The Europeans were isolating countries that still practiced slavery. All these factors combined put a slow end to the slave trade by 1950 CE. It was outlawed in Saudi Arabia in 1962. However, slavery in some form is still practiced in various Muslim and African countries. From 1450 to 1850 CE, an estimated 12 million slaves traded from Africa to the Americas. In around
1962, in Arabia, that slavery was outlawed. And remember that we saw the report that came out by the sister there on CNN. It was about, 3 years ago, when she was in Libya. And we saw firsthand the level of slavery that is taking place, real atrocity against the black man and the black woman in Libya right now, at this moment. And what her video was just, in a sense, to validate it to the world. But we already know that this is what is taking place. So not just there, in many parts, Syria, Jordan, many parts of that part of the world, even in Egypt and these places, all of them places where you have Arabs and you have black people. Black people are seriously exploited by these people here. Our sisters, hey, listen, if you are Arab, you can't feel no way. I just telling you, I speak in general. And our sisters are being exploited by these crooked, listen, I'm telling you, these wicked bastards, Rasta. If you knew what I knew, maybe you would agree with what I say. Yeah, man. Enough of sisters. This trading, this human trafficking thing, although it's kept on the hush hush, they try to equate it to slavery. As we know it, I wouldn't just equate it really, but I would say it's not as big as how they're not concerned about that. Human trafficking is a massive, 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 massive industry, if you want to call it that. Certain parts of the world, not just in Africa, of the world, especially a woman on the street with her children, especially if the child is, 3 years and younger, she can't afford to get drunk and get high and just go sleep. Somebody snatch that. Business. They even do it in the hospitals. Business. Big, big business. In some cases, it's just to sacrifice the child. Business. Real thing. That's big in Kenya, big in Uganda, big in Tanzania. Africa, you're talking about. Real thing. I'm not saying this is, in many cases, you would, like people that are convicted of that is a black man, and black women too into the business big. I'm just being clear who I talking of for the moment here. But all of that is human trafficking. But we're dealing with the root. Oh yeah, man, enough of these little children. And not just the 3-year-olds, the 12-year-olds, and even some cases the 18-year-olds kidnapped. What are you gonna do with them? They find themselves tied up on some boat being shipped to these Arab lands. So there's somebody, some big boss up there in the oil-rich country that is spending moolah to get African children close to him or her. It's real. I'm not making it up. Look how many documentaries BBC and so do about this. This is real, real, real. Say no lie. Like, oh boy, you Rastas thing. You're Rasta nothing. That's just the world. That's what's going on. So this cruel practice is still happening. What is interesting here is that when we compare again from the program previous night, now this one is saying that there was no friendly greeting. He even go as far as to say that maybe the reason why Nubia didn't really have too much encounter with the slavery vibes is because they were selling slaves from early to the Arabs. So they kind of get a little blind because Ethiopia never really got that sort of attention from the Arab world, although in Ethiopia, you must admit there's a lot of Muslims in Ethiopia. But Muhammad did say, do not make war with the Ethiopians. And, the king gave them refuge. His story now is that they were selling slaves to the Arabs. No, I definitely do not believe that is why Muhammad said not to make war with the Ethiopians. I honestly would follow the version that clearly says that the king gave them refuge and showed them hospitality and dealt with them up full. And I think he sell them the slaves. And that was the respect. And I'm not saying that he accepted Islam neither, for sure. I'm not saying he didn't, but then how do you balance that now? You need to balance these things historically. Where did that fit in? but that's on another level, to be very honest. So we're looking at, because this is an important subject and topic, we have to check it good. It's not yes and no. So in reality, yes, the king himself would have would have been a good host to these Islamic brothers that were seeking refuge, and he was respected and honored for that. That's my outlook of that whole situation. Did he accept Islam? I can't say. Honestly, did he sell them some slaves? That's the first I hear that, to be honest. That's from him there. That's the first I hear that there as well. So I'm sticking to what my heart moves me to flow with. I hope you can comprehend my evaluation of that specific situation. All right, good. And it speaks of strong trade in Zanzibar and Tanzania and the eastern part, the southeastern part of Africa. But this is well documented. This is like the trade posts of the Arab world. The island of Zanzibar, of course, from previous night we were showing that it was from Persia, a black man who came and established his whole if you want to say kingdom there. But we know that area is known for its forts as well. That historically, they even ones that tourists come to these places, and the natives reenact what was taking place in this part of the world, in Mozambique, and this area here during the time when the Arabs came in to bring in Islam, their culture, and yes, slavery. This is how I know it. I don't know if you know it some other how. Doctor what's his name there? Kazir. He was very adamant that the Arabs came in with a lot of love. You know what I mean? They just came to trade some leather and some cloth and some incense and some lighters and some cigarette wrappers and just have a good jolly good time. But the history books say otherwise. Even our scholars say otherwise. Our historians say otherwise. To be very honest, everybody says otherwise, except Dr. Keris.